What is up, everyone? Look, I am not here to give you a boring university lecture that puts you to sleep. I am here because I have actually done this and I have got $124,560 in my brokerage account to prove it. I remember being a completely broke college grad back in 2020. I was driving a beat-up 2006 sedan that smelled like old fast food and disappointment. I did not even have a couch in my apartment for a whole year because every single cent I earned went straight into the market. I was tired of being the guy who just watched the news and worried about national debt or inflation. Today we are talking about calls and puts 101. This is the real foundation of how I built my side hustle income while working a 9 to 5. If you have not subscribed yet, do it now or keep being the person who funds someone else. As vacation in this video, I am going to explain exactly what options are and how they work with real numbers from May 2026. By the end of this, you will actually understand what to do with them instead of just throwing darts at a board. Fair warning, this takes real mental effort. If you want easy, go buy a lottery ticket and enjoy losing your money there. But if you want a flexible side income that you can manage in a few minutes a week, you need to pay attention. Let us start with the absolute basics. To understand options, you have to look at what you already know, which is stocks right now in May 2026. Apple is trading around $190. If you buy the stock at $190 and it goes to $250, you make $60. If it drops to $140, you lose $50. Your profit and loss is linked dollar for dollar to the price of the share. That is a linear relationship, just a simple straight line on a graph. Now let's talk about the real magic of options. When you buy a stock option, you are buying the right to transact at a specific price before an expiry date. Imagine instead of buying Apple at $190, you buy a call option. A call option gives you the right to buy that stock at a set price. Let's say $190, even if the market price rockets to $300. If Apple hits $300, you use your right to buy at $190 and you pocket that massive difference. Let's say that option cost you $500 total. Each contract covers 100 shares. So we are talking about serious leverage here. If Apple goes to $250, your right to buy at $190 is worth $60 per share. On 100 shares, that is $6,000 in value. Subtract the $500 you paid for the contract, and you have a net profit of $5,500. Think about that for a second. To make that same profit with shares, you would have needed to put up $19,000 of your own cash up front. With the option, you only risk $500. That is the asymmetrical payoff profile that changed my life. If Apple crashes to zero tomorrow, the most you lose is that $500. You do not lose the full $19,000, like the poor guy holding the actual bags. But here's the catch. And listen close, because this is where the fake gurus on TikTok lie to you. Options have an expiration date. If you are right about the direction, but you are wrong about the timing, your option becomes a worthless piece of digital garbage. You lose 100% of your investment if the stock does not move fast enough. That is why most beginners who just blindly buy calls end up totally broke and bitter. Statistically, the house wins because they are the ones selling the options to the gamblers. I prefer being the house, but we will get to that strategy later in the series. Let us break down the call option properly so you can visualize it. A call option gives the buyer the right to buy. Let us use Justin as our buyer and Jacqueline as our seller. Justin pays Jacqueline $5 per share, which is $500 total for the contract. Justin now has the privilege to buy. Jacqueline now has the legal obligation to sell. If Apple goes to $200 and the strike price is $145, Justin is absolutely laughing. He buys from Jacqueline at $145 and immediately sells to the market at $200. He makes $55 per share minus the $5 he paid for the premium. Total net profit is $5,000. Jacqueline, on the other hand, just lost $5,000 because she had to sell him something for $145 that was worth $200. When the stock price is above the strike price, we call that in the money. If the stock is at $100 and the strike is $145, the option is out of the money. Justin is not going to buy for $145 when he can get it for $100 on the open market. The option expires worthless and Justin loses his $500. Jacqueline keeps that $500 as pure profit for doing absolutely nothing but waiting. Now let's talk about put options, because these are your best friend during a market crash. A put option gives the buyer the right to sell at a specific price. If you think the market is heading for a disaster, or you just want to protect your VO and VTI holdings, you buy a put. Let's say Apple is at $190 and you buy a $180 strike put. If the economy collapses and Apple drops to $100, you still have the right to sell at $180. You are basically buying insurance for your portfolio so you can sleep at night. Justin buys the put from Jacqueline for $5 a share. If Apple drops to $100, Justin sells at $180 and pockets $80 per share in value. Minus his $5 cost, he makes $7,500 while everyone else is crying over their 401k balances. Jacqueline is the one who is legally obligated to buy that stock at $180. She is down $7,500 because she bought something at $180 that is only worth $100. When the stock price is below the strike in a put, it is considered in the money. If the stock stays at $200, the put is out of the money. Nobody wants to sell at $180 when the market price is $200. The option expires worthless and the seller keeps the cash. So to recap, there are only two types of options, calls and puts. And there are only two things you can do. You can buy them or you can sell them. Buying is a bullish move for calls and a bearish move for puts. Selling is the opposite. When you finally sit down to trade, you look at something called the options chain. It looks like a giant matrix of numbers designed to scare away the weak and the uneducated. On the left side, you have all the calls. On the right side, you have all the puts. In the middle, you have the strike prices and the different expiry dates. In May 2026, VO is trading around $678. If you look at the chain, you will see premiums listed like 1.41. Remember the contract multiplier? That 1.41 actually means $141 out of your pocket. Per contract, I know this is a lot to process for a single video. I spent months staring at these charts back in my empty apartment before it finally clicked. But once it clicks, you realize that you do not need to work a 9 to 5 until you are 65. You can use these financial blocks to build a fortress around your wealth and protect your family. I am doing a 6-week series on this because I want you to actually win for once next week. We are talking about the best apps and brokerages for this stuff in 2026. Do not use those high-fee dinosaurs that your parents use. You need speed and you need low commissions if you want to keep your profits. If you found this helpful, hit the like button so the algorithm knows you are serious. If you did not like it, go back to complaining about rent prices and doing nothing to change it. Check out the rest of the channel for more ways to up-level your financial literacy. The choice is yours. Live life on your terms or someone else will live it for you. I am here to tell you the truth about money. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Peace. I want to make sure you really understand the difference between the buyer and the seller, because this is the core of everything. Think of the option buyer as a person buying an insurance policy or a lottery ticket. They are paying a small amount of money for the chance to make a huge amount of money. Think of the option seller as the insurance company. They are collecting small amounts of money from many people, betting that most of those people will never need to use the policy. The insurance company wins most of the time, but when they lose, they can lose big. As an investor with $124,560, I transitioned from being the gambler to being the insurance company. I want to collect the rent from the market, not just bet on where it goes, but you cannot be the insurance company if you do not have the capital or the knowledge. That is why we start with the basics of buying and selling. You need to know how the enemy thinks before you can take their money. Look at the housing market in 2026. It is tougher than ever to buy a home. Interest rates are still stubborn and inventory is low. If you are just saving cash in a high-yield savings account, you are losing. You are losing to the invisible tax of inflation every single day. Investing in index funds like VUU is the baseline. That is your foundation, but options are the turbocharger for that engine. I used options to generate the extra cash I needed to buy my first real furniture. I used options to stop driving that 2006 rust bucket. It is not about greed. It is about freedom, and options are the ultimate tool for freedom. Do not let the complexities scare you off. The big banks want you to think this is impossible, so you just give them your money to manage for a 1% fee. Do not give them that satisfaction. Take control of your own numbers. Look at your bank account right now and ask yourself if you are happy with that number. If the answer is no, then you have no excuse to not learn this. I am giving you the blueprint for free because I remember how it felt to have nothing. I remember the late nights studying Greeks and Delta while my friends were out partying. They are still working jobs they hate, and I am sitting here talking to you. Hard work in the wrong direction is just a waste of time. Hard work in the right direction, like learning the derivatives market, is leverage. Leverage is the only way a regular person moves up the social ladder in this century. So go back and watch the examples of Justin and Jacqueline again. Make sure you can explain it to a 5-year-old. If you can explain a call option to a child, you truly understand it. Once you understand it, you can start small. You do not need $100,000 to start. I started with a couple $1,000s and a lot of discipline. Discipline is more important than intelligence in this game. The market is full of geniuses who went broke because they could not control their emotions. Be the person who stays calm and follows the math. The math never lies, even when the news does. The news will tell you to panic, but the options chain will tell you the truth. I will show you how to read that truth in the coming weeks. Stay focused and stay hungry. The world is changing fast in 2026, and you cannot afford to be slow. I will be right here with you every step of the way. Make sure your notifications are on so you do not miss the brokerage breakdown. That video is going to save you thousands in hidden fees. I am out for now. Go do your homework. See you in the next one. Believe me when I say that the first time you see a profit of $500 in one day from an option, your brain will change. You will realize that the hourly wage you get at your job is a scam. You will realize that your time is worth more than $30 or $50 an hour. But do not quit your job yet. Use your job to fund your account. Be the shark in the water, not the bait. I was the bait for a long time until I decided to learn the rules of the game. Now I play the game on my own terms, and you can too. Just keep showing up. Every video you watch is a brick in your financial wall. Let us build something that lasts. I am looking forward to seeing your progress in the comments. Tell me what your goal number is for the end of 2026. Is it $10,000? Is it $50,000? Write it down and make it real. I will catch you guys later. Keep grinding and stay disciplined. The results will come if you do the work. No shortcuts, just strategy. Goodbye for now. Let us talk about the 2020 graduation. I graduated into a world that was shut down and terrifying. Companies were freezing hiring and people were losing their homes. I realized then that a degree is just a piece of paper if you do not have assets. I made it my mission to never be dependent on a single source of income ever again. I spent my first 3 paychecks on index funds and books about options. I did not buy new clothes and I did not go out for drinks. My coworkers thought I was being cheap or boring. But while they were paying off credit cards for clothes they did not need, I was building a machine that now spits out cash while I sleep. That is the difference between a consumer and an investor. A consumer buys things to look rich. An investor buys things that make them actually rich. If you are watching this, you have already taken the first step to leave the consumer herd. The herd is headed for a cliff of debt and regret. You are headed for the exit. Options are not just about numbers, they are about psychology. The person on the other side of your trade is often a large institution or a scared retail trader. You need to learn how to profit from their fear and their greed. When the market is red, that is when the most money is made. But you cannot make money in a red market if you are busy panicking. You need a plan and you need to understand your tools. Calls and puts are your primary tools. Think of them as the hammer and the saw of the financial world. You cannot build a house without them, and you cannot build a portfolio without them either. We are going to dive deep into the Greeks like delta, gamma, and theta in the future. But today was about the foundation. If you do not have the foundation, the Greeks will just confuse you. Take some time this week to look at an options chain on your phone. Just look at it and try to identify the calls and the puts. Try to see where the strike prices are compared to the current stock price. Get comfortable with the interface before you ever put a single dollar at risk. Knowledge is the best risk management tool there is. I am proud of you for making it this far in the video. Most people have the attention span of a goldfish and they have already clicked away. The fact that you are still here means you have the discipline to actually succeed. Do not lose that momentum. Go back and rewatch the parts about the break-even price if you have to. Understanding where you start making money is critical. In my Apple example, the break-even was $195. If the stock hits $194, you actually lost money, even though the stock went up. This is the hidden trap of options that no one tells you. You have to be right about the magnitude of the move, not just the direction. This is why I love selling options instead of buying them. When you sell, you can be wrong about the direction and still make money. Imagine that, being wrong and getting paid. That is the world I want to show you, but first you had to learn how to buy. Now you know the path from $0 to $124,560 is not a straight line. It is a series of lessons, some of them very expensive. I am trying to save you from the expensive ones. Listen to my stories and learn from my scars. I have plenty of them from the 2022 bear market. But those scars turned into $124,560 in realized gains. You can do the same if you stay the course. See you in the next one. Bye.